G'day and welcome back to my channel. Now this is a video where we pull apart and tug at the vexing problems that face many modelers in the Unheard Gooch. Yeah, we had to shorten the name for legal reasons. Anyhow, for this version of the tug, right, well, we're going to discuss, is it better to buy the original kit or one of the reboxings? A reboxing's better. Who knows? We'll find out. Or is it better to buy the early version of the kit rather than later on where they've changed things, they've added things, maybe they've improved things? Who knows? We will find out. Is old better than new? Yes, this is the question. Alright, well, we're going to roll the music, but there's been a request. Yes, some of you clever clogs found out I got a harmonica for Christmas, and you've requested a harmonica solo. Alright, there's only one small problem. Yeah, just be with you in a sec. Plug it in. Blow in one end and bend notes. Yeah, I think I've got it. I think I've got it figured out. All right, let's see how this goes. Yes, well, there you go. Can sort of bag a few notes in it. Now, look, you may have noticed we've gone high tech. Yes, these. They're really good for playback when I'm checking everything, but they're friggin' useless when I'm actually doing the video. Yes. Oh, that's better. Oh, I've got ears again. Makes me slimmer too. What do you think? What do you think? All right, so the problem is, should you buy an original old version of the kit? Or should you buy the kit later on when it's been reboxed? And maybe it's better. Maybe they've done a better job. Okay. Now, a case in point is one I've talked about many a time, and that's Airfix. Now, with Airfix, you've really got to know the history of the plastic, and I've actually made notes. Right, I've got some notes here, so I'll refer to my notes. We will need my extra good spectacles for that. Yes, here we go. Right, now, Airfix started in 1939. Yeah, it did. They were making combs. Yes, they were making combs, so you can basically comb up your mustache, right? Get a nice twirl, get your beard happening. Yeah, that's what Airfix was doing. But then in 1947, they produced a little cellulose acetate tractor, a little model. And everyone loved it. Everyone loved it. They thought it was good. And so they started building a few other sort of things and moulding and doing it. And in 1955 was their first polystyrene model, was the Airfix Spitfire, which I built. Yes, not in 1955. I wasn't born. It was only a few years later. But I built it pretty soon after that. Well, a few years later. And they used their formula. It was done in England, and quite frankly the early plastic wasn't bad. It got better and better. In fact, from the 60s through the 70s, I think that's the best Airfix plastic. It was really good. All the stuff then, very nice. But in 1981 Airfix was going bust. I mean, every other bastard was building scale models as well, and so Airfix has sort of had the monopoly for ages of making a hand over fist, even though not all their models were top notch. They're okay, they were good. I mean, we had nothing else back then. But then all the competition's in, Rebel's in, you know, Tammy is in, all the other bastards are jumping on the bloody bandwagon. So 1981 they're going a bit broke because they're just not making enough money to cover all costs. The pound had bloody, the value had gone the wrong way. So in the American market the kits were just getting too bloody expensive, and Revel America was a hell of a lot bloody cheaper, so they were rooted there. Okay, all right, bit of a sound check. Can you hear the aeroplane? Yes? No? Hopefully you can't. I'm going to keep talking, because basically the new microphone seems to just about drown out everything. I've got the air conditioner on today. I have to. Yes. We haven't got any fires anymore, at least not where I am. But rains have come, monsoon, and that's fantastic. So now the humidity's through the bloody roof. I mean, the other night it was 27 degrees all night with an apparent temperature of 32. Now, for you, those of you on Frankenfurter, right, that means the temperature was 80, but it felt like 90 degrees in my bedroom. Yes. Great big sweating fat old man in the bed. Basta Cat wasn't anywhere but his scenes. You wouldn't want to come near me. Anyhow, I digress. Okay, so back to Airfix. Alright, so 1981 they're going bust. MPC steps in. MPC steps in. They buy it, right? And they've got moulding processes in Calais in France. So the plastic changes a bit and it's getting knocked out of France. Not too bad at this stage, but they only hang around for about 5 years and they've sort of had enough of it. Humbrol sticks in, right? Humbrol, who just acquired Hella, they step in, they acquire Airfix, and it's basically Humbrol, Airfix, Hella. And then there's a whole conglomeration of bloody Hella kits that are actually Airfix kits, and Airfix kits is actually Hella kits, all the rest of it. And it's all getting punched out in a factory in France, in Turin, right? And this is not the best plastic, and this is basically those mid-80s into the 90s Airfix kits. The plastic's a bit dodgy, it's not the best, and a lot of people complain about it, and a lot of people got put off by those kits because they don't sort of come out too well out of the moulds, and it was a bit French. Sorry, frogs. But look, it wasn't the Airfix we were used to. I mean, back to the halcyon days of the 70s, yes, we love them. Roll on then to 2006, and it all changes again, right? Humbrol has basically had an Irish company actually take over the Airfix later on, before 2006, but it still remained Humbrol. But then in 2006, basically Hornby steps in, right? So this bloody company has been all over the place, been ridden more than a bloody town bike. And then they decide they're going to outsource all their moulding pressing, goes to India. So that's when we've had the curry flavoured plastic ever since, which is, well, it's well moulded, and we get a lot of detail now with all the CAD, but it's a bit bloody soft for my liking. So what I'm leading to here is, okay, white box, early kits, Airfix, they're sort of that 70s. That's the nice plastic. That's really good. And if you've got a subject that has been very popular, and therefore the actual moulding has got worn out over the years, the 90s presses of them are going to be god awful. And if they're still using those bloody moulds in India with that very soft plastic, well, that's why some of those new red box kits are bloody awful. Now, it's not a fault of the original design. The original design was good for its day, and there's a lot of good detail in these kits, but the plastic has changed and the moulds are worn out. Now, that's a case of where I'd buy the white box every time, but I wouldn't buy the red box, or I wouldn't buy the red box later on. I'm not talking about new mould kits, anything that's been newly tooled, or new tool kits. Anything's been newly tooled, right? Especially from 2006 onward, new tool with the Indian plastic, it seems to work, and they're not bad. I still don't particularly like that plastic, but in that case, those kits are okay. And even some of the little reboxings in that period are okay, because it's basically all the same. Same plastic, same CAD design, you know you're getting a good result. But if you know, like my Fury, which is a very popular kit, punched out a lot of them, if you can get an original one from way back in the early 80s, say before 85, that plastic might not be too bad, and the moulding might be nice. Even if you've got some of maybe the earlier ones, when it went to Heller's old pressing factory in Turin, right? So up until 1990, they might not be too bad. But basically, once you're in the 90s kits, and then once you're in the noughties kits for that particular model, well, the mouldings are rooted and the plastic doesn't work, and it's just ghastly, which is what I found. Okay, the kits are still buildable, they're just not as nice. So there's a case where I'd buy the white box. Now, Airfix ships, some of which are Heller ships actually. Now, the moulds are great. The runs are small, right? Ships are nowhere near. They'll sell millions of bloody little aeroplanes, right? Okay, but when it comes to the ships, it's a much smaller market. There's less of us shipbuilders around, and much more complicated things to build, especially when it comes to sailing ships. There's a lot of filliness, there's all the friggin' rope to bloody tie, okay? So in that case, basically, a later boxing, even with a change in plastic, mightn't be too bad. And I've got a Reebox brand new reissue, and they've supposedly tidied up the mould, of the Golden Hind, the Airfix Golden Hind, right? And it's fine, it's really good. Well, it looks good in the box, everything looks fine, even the plastic looks quite nice. Although I heard rumours they actually did the injection moulding back in Old Blighty. Not sure on that. But this was a case where the white box, well, was good, okay, and if you can get one, great, but the red boxing is still fine, it's still quite good. Conversely, the Victory, which is a very popular sailing ship model, okay, by Airfix, if you can get one of the older ones, they're really nice, they're okay. There's still a lot of detail missing from it. But the recent, before they did the supposedly reissue and fix up of the moulds, but there's a series there of red box Victories that are god awful. It's Flash City from one end to the other. The masts are like, you know, like friggin' asparagus, and there's a lot of problems with those kits, and a lot of people get that and go, Airfix is shit, okay? And it's a shame because the actual mould's not that bad. But that was a popular model. They punched out a lot of them. And there you go. So it's a 1/180 scale. I've actually got one. It's for sale. Anybody want it? Yes, I actually picked up another version. But anyway, we'll talk about that in another video. Okay, so this is like I'm using Airfix because I know a lot about it. I'm a big Airfix fan, right? I love Airfix, and I understand the foibles. And it's like the BMW that I built, right? Old mould, old plastic, brilliant, fitted together perfectly, no issues, no problems, absolutely loved it. And yet that kid is, 30, 40 years old, might even be 50 years old. I don't know, it's an old bastard like me. It's lovely, okay? And then, yeah, some of the more modern kits, a bit ordinary, like there's a the Harriers, right? Okay, the new mould Airfix Harriers with the Indian plastic, lovely, 1/72, really good. Okay, but Airfix is still reboxing the old 1/48 scale Harrier, and I picked one up really cheaply in a sale. I thought, this is great. I've got the 1/72 and it's fantastic. The 1/48 is going to be better. It's an older model. It is chalk and cheese to the new tooling, of course, but also the plastic just doesn't seem to work. It's got awful. I had one look at it and felt it, went, got rid of that as fast as I could. So this is the thing. Plastic changes depending on where they're moulding it. In Airfix case at least. It does happen with other manufacturers, and you need to know these sort of things. The moulds get worn out. So is it a short run, or is it a model that is basically going to have a limited run? Then the mould probably won't be so bad years down the track. If it's something that's really popular, right, if it's bloody Spitfire or something, they'll be building squillions of them and punching them out. So that mould will probably be rooted up the first couple of years. These are the things. Alright. Now, I don't have a lot of examples with this. Maybe you know. Does Tamiya ever change its plastic? As far as I know, not. I mean, as far as I know, the plastic's always been the same. I've got some old Tamiya kits, got some newer Tamiya kits. It all seems to be pretty consistent. And Tamiya, as you all tell me, really easy to build, fall together, they're always good, they're well engineered, you can't go wrong. So in the case of Tamiya, a rebox might be fine because they haven't changed their tune. Alright? It's all about the plastic and where it's getting moulded and where it's getting pressed. Plus they have quality standards they have. I think basically they make sure they upgrade their kits before the moulds are worn out, which is good. Alright, so same thing like with Dragon. Although the Dragon early kits are a bit bloody dreadful because they were copies, but let's just say the kits from the noughties anyway. With the kits from the noughties, it doesn't matter which one you get, whether it's the first one punched out or the last one punched out, as far as the quality of the moulding goes, they're always the same sort of quality. I haven't found them worn out at all in the ones that I've seen. Everything seems consistent, everything seems good. But this leads me to my next part of the video, which is the original version of the kit as opposed to the upgrades when they've changed it. And Dragon is a good example of what not to do and how to piss modelers off. All right. So Dragon starts out with a kit, and it's it's good. It's a Stug, right, or something, right? It's a Tiger Panzer IV. So there's a squillion of those they've pretty made. So the Panzer IV comes out. It's really good. The first moulding is fairly easy to follow. The instructions actually mention pretty well all the parts in the kit, pretty well where they should go. It's not too bad. There's very few errors. It's all fairly good. And when you look at your sprue map, there's hardly any of those big blue chunky areas that tell you parts are missing. Okay, so you go, great. I'm going to use all the parts here. They're all there. Away we go. I build it. And then you get to about like the dozenth. The lots later on, 10 or more iteration, okay? And Dragon has made an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, W, X, Y, and Z version, and then they've made all the different variants, it's a quantum perfect, and they've done the friggin' lot, which is great. So by the time you get your kit, it's got 3 versions in the box. It's got every single permutation known to man. The sprue count is enormous. It says 1,000 parts. Well, you're only going to use about 300, okay? Still a good kit. I mean, Dragon kits are good. They've always got lots of parts. But, the 1,000 parts in there, we won't be using them. You have a look at the sprue guide, right, the sprue map, and most of it's blue because they've basically stolen sprues from every other bloody kit they have, rejigged it together and gone, oh, this is good. If we add that in there, we can turn this one into a flop ploncer and then this one into an arschnickler, and that's how they go. Brand new Dragon kit. And they charge you more. Well, it's more plastic. There's more parts. But here's the problem. There's been so many changes and so much stuff's happened, and there's now so many sprues and so many parts that the guys who write the instructions are just pulling their hairs out. And they haven't got a clue. They're just lost. So they completely miss whole new sprue parts, like interiors and everything, don't get mentioned. And this has happened to me. I built that Panzer II. Whole interior, half of it's not even mentioned in the instructions. The parts are there. It's illustrated on the back. The guys that did the drawings, the CAD drawings, probably because they're in the design process where they got CAD drawings from, right? They knew that they'd added all these extra bits and thrown these sprues in that, but the guys that did instructions they were confunkled. And so the instructions not only has the usual dragon foibles of basically forgetting to tell you the odd part, or putting the odd part in the wrong place, or back to front or upside down, they also miss entire sprues of stuff that you've bought that you could put into your kit. And unless you do the research, unless you, as I found, flip the box over and start reading what's on the back and then back engineer it yourself. So this is the thing. In this case, well, if you know your subject, you know what you're doing, the ladder model with all the options can be good. And plus, any of you that have got a lot of Dragon kits, you know, once you've got half a dozen of these models with lots and lots of different versions, all your spare parts add up to another 2 or 3 kits that you can actually build out of thin air. Or they go in the parts box. Jeez, my teeth are bad this morning. Must be this bloody harmonica. I tell ya, it certainly buggers up your teeth. Okay, now, yes, so there's a case. Now, there's other times, and I'll refer to Airfix because I know Airfix probably better than the other, or even Edward, right, Edward, where the original comes out and it's good and it's really nicely pressed and instructions are good and everything, and then they build a different country's version. So really probably all they do is change the decals, right? That's good. Nothing wrong with that. You still got everything was good in the last kit, but you got decals. Or they might just add a little bit of armament. That's good. If you haven't gone the Dragon route of getting 600 new sprues in there and going bloody crazy and trying to tell you there's 1,000 parts when there isn't, if you keep it something simple, like it's just a change because it's the basically version of a different country, or A to a B, and there's a slightly different nose cone, and there's a different bloody bombs hanging out the wind. This is all good, and this is where you need to do your research. There is no rule of thumb with this. Is the old kit good? Is the new kit better? I mean, sometimes they even improve the mouldings. There's a case with Italeri, as I call it, Ital Scary. They actually bring out a kit later on, and it says the moulds have been retooled and fixed up. Well, they've kind of dusted them. They've scraped all the crap out of them, and they've given them a bit of a dusting and probably a wash, right? Got all the bloody pasta sauce out of them, and then they've punched out a new model, thrown in some new decals, and away you go. And it's a lot sharper, and it's a lot clearer, and it's a lot nicer, okay? And that's a good thing. And generally, it's a bit of a marketing hype, but they sort of look better. I've got a couple, and they look better than some of that stuff. And then there's things like Tamiya. Now, this is one of my big gripes. My very first armour kit was Dragon. Okay, well, it was Cyber Hobby. And it was a Panzer IV Kugelwagen. Right? Fantastic kit, you know, hundreds of bloody parts and magic tracks and PA and everything. There was a couple of missing sort of things and a couple of mistakes instructions, but I coped with that. I did my research and I put it together. I had a ball. I went, this was terrific. And I bought it for a whole 3 shekels, right? It was fantastic. I admit it was on sale. And then I watched this movie, White Tiger. And in that were all these bloody T-34s flying around. And I sort of didn't know much about Russian tanks at that stage. I went, oh, these T-34s are pretty good. They're a lot of fun. I wonder if anyone's got a model. And I go down to my hobby shop. Millie was just a little one down there in, it was south side in Brisbane somewhere. It was a tiny little boutique model shop. Wasn't Hobby Ramara. They're great, you know. Or Hobby One or any of the big shops. Or Paul's. Hello, Paul. How are you, mate? Thanks for those kits this week. Anyhow, so I go to the shop. And I'm looking through the T-34. Yeah, I've got a Tamiya one. Oh, I've never built Tamiya. No, I hadn't. I'd never built Tamiya. Strange. Yeah, but that's another story. He said, no, you'll love it. Tamiya's great. You'll be converted. You'll only build Tamiya from there on. You know, all the Tamiya songs that people sing. And it was 5 shekels. But it was a smaller box. I thought, maybe they pack it really well. So took it home, right? Tamiya T-34. Now, that is ancient. That kit is like, you know, hundreds of years old. The moulding's not bad, like it's pressed reasonably well. As I said, the Tamiya plastic and the Christmas is there, but it's an old kit. And I was getting charged new money for it. And it had bugger all parts, it had whole full bloody rubber band tracks and no photo etch. I thought, I've been ripped off. And that's what I felt straight away. Because my comparison to my yardstick had been, you know, Chinese or whatever, Oriental quality kits, which, you know, modern tooling, modern moulding, lots and lots of options and parts and everything, you know, 15 parts to make a jack. Really, Dragon. But we have fun. It's great. You know, I don't mind building them. And magic tracks, which I found were absolutely fantastic, and I love them. Absolutely adore magic tracks. So the shock of getting this Reeboks Tamiya kit at an absolutely outrageous price. Now, whether that was the shop's fault or the Tamiya distributors, I don't know. But I think a lot of the time they bump the prices up, at least here, on Tamiya kits because of the name. Because I know a lot of the time people say Dragon kits are expensive. Well, the equivalent Tamiya kit here in Australia is more expensive. It's cheaper for me to buy Dragon. I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But that's the thing. So in that case, the Dragon kit, the Reeboks, yeah, well, only if you want all the versions and all the bits and all the rest of it. Can you live with the original model a bit less bloody confusing and probably easier to build, or are you willing to do all your research? And with the Tamiya kit, well, do your research and find out. It's an old kit. It should be worth $15, right? 1.5 shekels, not 5 shekels. No, bastards. That shop closed down. Probably because they were selling Tamiya kits too expensively. Bastards. So that's a couple of examples that I know of have they improved the kit. And yes, it's good. No, Edward improved the kit. Italeri sometimes improved the kit. And it is good and it is better. Okay? If it's a new mould, right, if it's not a Reeboks, but if it's the same subject, but it's new mould, okay? New mould means they totally redesigned it and they're punching out literally a brand new kit. Yes, that's great. In that case, yes, that's the one to get, possibly. But do your research. I use Scalemates a lot now, after I've learnt from my mistakes. And I'll find out how old's the kit, or how old's the old moulding. You know, has it been worn out? What's a review of the latest Reeboks? Like, you can go and get a review of maybe the original one. Everyone's raving about it because, yeah, it was back when it was bloody, we were in the dark ages, everything was steam driven, and yeah, that was fantastic. But now, in this technological millennial age, yes, we expect better, we expect more. Yes, give me, want. So there we go. Those are my opinions. Now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think? Would you rather buy the original kit? Another advantage is, just quickly, in both cases, the original old kits are cheaper. Because people think, it's the old one, I want to get the new one. New one will be fresher. Well, as I've said, sometimes the new one is not much better, and sometimes it's worse. Sometimes you get a bargain by buying the old kit, like especially with the Airfix with the white box in. I would buy the white box probably every time, just in case, especially if I hadn't done my research. I know if I buy the white box in, I'm getting a better version. So there you go. So as I said, what are your opinions? What kits have you built where the new one's been crap and the old one's better, or vice versa, where basically it got better through time, through the changes and the additions and everything, they actually improved the kit? Let's see some examples. You know, post, tell me, write, be nice. Okay, and as usual, subscribe if you can, right? I'd love to have you on my list. Let's have 1 million subscribers by this Christmas. That's not going to happen. Subscribe, like, comment. Please be involved. I love to hear what you've got to say on the subjects that I rabbit on about. All right, it's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.